everyone. Welcome to the Planecious Leaders Walk the Talk. I'm Rohit Korat, the founder of the Planecious Leaders series, where we celebrate the inspiring leaders who are driving positive change towards a more sustainable future. I'm excited to have with us today Mr. Yash Premchandani, who is a dynamic and dedicated sustainability professional, the founder of the Nurturing Gaia, and a recognized expert in life cycle assessment. As a sustainability consultant and a research fellow, Yash brings deep expertise in areas like circular economy, net zero strategies, climate resilient urban planning. His work is characterized by an adventurous spirit, curiosity, and a diligent approach to tackling environmental challenges. Thank you so much for joining us today with us. Let's deep dive into a sustainable conversation. Can you walk us through the inception of Nurturing Gaia? What inspired you to create an organization focused on holistic sustainable solutions?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Rohit, for such a nice introduction. I think that was pretty nice. And thank you for the opportunity to be part of Planecious Leaders and contribute in any manner I can. Okay, so as I go through the inception of Nurturing Gaia, it's also relates through my journey as well, right? My journey started back in 2014 when I was hiking in the Himalayas, and we started this concept of green trails where we would collect waste from the Himalayas, segregate it, bring it down to the base camp, see how it can be disposed. Then it became, we took it a step further where we started educating the kids in the villages in the Himalayas on proper waste management and how to reduce waste. Post that, I always wanted to actually like this interaction inspired me to look into sustainability, and then renewable energy in my bachelor's was an interesting topic which led me to become an intern at a wind energy consulting firm. Fast forward to 2018, and I was in Sweden pursuing my master's in sustainability engineering and management, where I got the chance to work across various aspects of sustainability, from circular economy to biodiversity conservation. And then I decided to pursue my master's, or like my specialization in life cycle assessment. Ended up working as a third party consultant for Plasman Group and Volvo, and then worked in ESG, worked in the climate tech sector in India. But the planning for launching Nurturing Gaia had been in progress for 4 years, right? Even when I was in Sweden, I had already started drafting up plans on the things that could be implemented in India and the things we should implement as we move forward. And these obviously originated from my experiences in Sweden and across Europe, right? So after coming back, after working through the climate tech sector, looking at the Indian market, when I felt the time was right, this year, early January, I incepted Nurturing Gaia. The idea behind Nurturing Gaia is to try to create a one-stop solution for all things climate. And I know it's a big target, but again, it's not like we want to do this ourselves. We also want to get help from organizations like yours and also connect other organizations. But eventually, we do want to work across all sectors that will or need to adopt sustainable practices, right? Coming to the point of going towards holistic solutions, so one thing that I've realized, and I think it's now quite prevalent in recent times, is that holistic development is key for any aspect or any technology to succeed in society, right? At one end, you can have technological innovation, but if you don't have, let's say, the social acceptance of that, that technology will not succeed. Hence, that's why we are trying to create an ecosystem around sustainability and the services that we provide. So, provide one holistic solution that people can rely upon.
How does Nurturing Gaia's approach to life cycle assessment differ from traditional environmental consulting, and like what unique value do you bring to businesses seeking sustainability insights?
Sure. Nice question. So till now, when we talk about environmental consultancy, when we grow to corporates, the only focus areas are, let's say, some focus on waste, some focus on wastewater, some focus on plastics in general, right? But nobody, or let's say, even if companies are looking into their processes, they do not do a deep dive, right? What life cycle assessment does is that it takes your whole supply chain into focus, right? From your raw material acquisition, how it is acquired, how much energy goes into it, what kind of mining is done, how it is transported to the manufacturing facility, um, different kinds of chemicals that are used in the manufacturing plant, energy consumptions, water, everything. You look into each and everything, but it does not end there. It goes beyond. After production, how is your product distributed to your suppliers or your customers? How long is your product usable for, right? How long does it survive in the market? How long do consumers use it? Are there any environmental impacts or negative impacts during the use phase of the product? And then end of life. So in end of life, they also look at how the consumers dispose your products, right? And once they dispose, is it easy to recycle them, reuse them? If not, how should effective disposal technology be employed to treat that? So it's like a whole supply chain lens that we look at, right? Through our life cycle assessment approach. And what insights it gives us is that first it helps us in identifying which aspect of supply chain companies should focus upon, right? Then it also enables us to undertake sensitivity analysis for companies. So let's say today you have a factory in I don't know, let's say Jaipur, right? And in Jaipur you have a certain kind of electric grid. But let's say you shift it to Indore, where let's say we have a more cleaner grid than Jaipur. This is just a hypothetical example. So the grid is better here, so your emissions, or let's say scope 2 emissions, would be less here. So this gives us insights. For a project of ours, we were focusing on, let's say, chemicals, and we found out that paints, right now, oil-based paints are quite frequent to use, but they have a very large carbon footprint. And just by shifting from oil-based paints to water-based paints, they were able to reduce their overall carbon emissions by 12%, which is again a big number if you look at the contribution of just one aspect of the supply chain. So this way we are able to give in very specific insights to businesses. And if you couple this with the original environmental impact assessment that you do of soil, water, and air, this is like the most effective consulting that any company can get at this moment. This will be, yeah.
Okay. So, how do you envision the role of green building design in addressing climate change, and what are some of the most promising sustainable urban planning strategies you are currently exploring?
Okay, so like before we get into the concept of green buildings, construction as a sector globally contributes to more than 30% of global GHG emissions, right? So it's a big emissions that we need to basically reduce, right? And built environment, because it involves a lot of use of what do you call it, concrete, cement, and then also it is projected that a lot of people will migrate to urban areas, so buildings and city development is bound to increase. Green buildings as a concept is garnering a lot of space right now. It's a lot of focus area, right? Now, different green building strategies that we look into are basically obviously energy efficiency and energy optimization at beginning, right? The other concept, which is very basic we all studied about it when we were kids, even in schools, but nobody of us implements it, or only very specific people implement it. This is water harvesting,
Yeah.
right? Even in Bangalore, if you look right now, water crisis happened. If people would have had water harvesting systems installed, they might have faced less severe issues, let's say. So that's one concept, but then another concept is of water recycling in the premises itself. So you recycle the water, resupply it, reuse it. So trying to create a circular solution in green buildings itself. And then obviously, you have these solar panels and renewables which are getting installed in buildings for energy, like self-sufficient buildings. But also you have to look into architecture, solar irradiation, and building design or building physics, right? So what I mean by that is every material we put in the building, be it bricks, be it cement, be it concrete, or any material, has something what we define in technical terms as an U value, right? It's a U value which is relevant when we talk about how much solar irradiation or how much solar rays or sun rays will be there in that specific area, and how you can utilize it better by creating a composition of materials in your building structure, so that natural heat entrapment or natural cooling becomes an easy, and you don't need to install air conditioners and all. So this comes under the concept of thermal comfort. So you in even in the design phase, you need to plan accordingly. Like, okay, we are designing, let's say, a commercial building or an office building. We expect these many people to be in this area, right, at this moment. And then you look at the overall temperature graph of that specific site that you're working on through meteorological data that you capture. And then you basically design accordingly. Material we should have this kind of windows we should have, be it single pane, double pane, or triple paved windows, right? What kind of doors and ceilings you should have. So this kind of creates an airflow, and then you don't need artificial air conditioners that much to actually sustain a habitable environment inside the building. So all these concepts actually make what we call green buildings, right? Though we are planning certain ideas, but hopefully once they succeed, we would like to speak on it more, because we want to experiment on certain aspects of this right now. When we are talking about urban planning, we are working. So the concept we work with is called sustainable urban planning, which is basically you look at a region, you identify what are the challenges, and then you plan accordingly. Indore, we are not focusing much on Indore as of now, because, well, I'm based out of Indore, and Indore has already implemented one of the best waste management systems across India or across the globe, because even UN adopted it as a model for other cities to take inspiration from. So this kind of waste management, smart mobility, all these concepts fall under sustainable urban planning. But obviously, you also need to incorporate green spaces and biodiversity as well. Because if we don't, the temperatures in the city are going to rise, and this urban heating would lead to a lot of emissions that we should not go for.
Yeah.
One specific concept that is quite prevalent now is called urban living labs. In urban living labs, what happens is you take a city, you take a small locality in that, and you try any kind of system. So it's like a live experiment you do in a small area of a city, and see if it's succeeding or not. And if it is accepted by the people, if you see positive outcomes, then you try and implement it on a large scale, or let's say the city scale. In India, in Hyderabad, they have tried this out with an organization called ICLEI. It's a research institution. I don't remember their full form, but they're doing some really good things across the globe and even in India.
Okay. So your organizations work on like developing regional climate action plans. Like, can you share an example like how these plans can create tangible impact or at a local or regional level?
So, okay, the outcome of a climate action plan is supposedly, well, so climate action plan and sustainable urban planning basically go hand in hand, right? Uh, what insights we get from climate action plans would then help us in applying sustainable urban planning concepts to it. What a climate action plan does is that it helps in policy design for certain aspects, but it gives us insight into weather patterns, climate patterns for that region, right? Um, it also gives us insights into what were the native species that used to exist here, how was the soil quality, what is the weather going to be in 15 years from now, right? You also look at what are the most polluting uh, industries in that specific region or a city, right? And based on that, you create a action plan or a strategy that will lead to that region transitioning to a net zero climate resilient region. When I say net zero climate resilient region, what I mean is that the emissions should not should be carbon neutral, right? And it should be ready to face against any kind of natural disasters that we might have simulated, considering the weather patterns and the climate patterns that we have observed till now, right? So all these insights we get, and based on that, these insights are used to then develop an effective policy to be implemented in that city or a region, so that they can focus on industrial decarbonization on the industry we identified is the most polluting, right? And then second of all, then you can start building nature-based solutions for improving water quality as well, air quality, and making it climate adaptable, right? While you also work on sustainable urban planning concepts of sustainable mobility, waste management, and other concepts as such. One example, I know in Gujarat they are right now currently implementing something related to this, so that could be a good starting point for people to look into, let's say. So then we can
Yeah,
get more of it.
right. Okay, so how does Nurturing Gaia balance the technical consulting work with community engagement, and like why do you believe public awareness is crucial in addressing climate change challenges?
Sure. This is actually quite interesting question. It took me time to realize myself. If we should go for this or not, and obviously, meet so many startup founders and other people who always tell you like, let's just focus on one thing, one thing, one thing. Uh, what I realized after being on the ground for more than 5 to 6 years was that until and unless people relate to it, they will not act upon it, right?
Yeah.
It's a very simple example. My friends and I went for a trip, right? And we were in a national park or a natural reserve, a wildlife sanctuary, sorry. And when we were in our resort, we were talking to the people who work there, and like they were cutting. So he's like, why are you doing this? It's not that and all. And my friends who I grew up with, who are my school friends or college friends, even they are not aware about the concept of sustainability, climate change, anything. When I speak to them, they don't listen to me, right? They are like, okay, you're explaining it in technical terms. We are not understanding it, and it does not seem relevant to us at this moment. At the same time, the person working there, one of the persons working there was like, okay, we should not cut this tree because next time you come here, where will you find shade in this when it's sunny, right? And that's when they understood the importance of the tree, right?
Right.
So this small like how he conveyed it to them, this changed their perception, right? So that's what ignited me to actually incorporate community engagement. Like, okay, this is the way how to get general public more aware, more engaged into this. And why we do technical consulting and community engagement is to drive both sectors. Until and unless the community is ready to change itself, at scale, implementation of sustainability measures will always be a risk. It will be a risk, it will be a right. So you need to first develop awareness around you. You need to get people involved. You need to tell them how it can be beneficial, and you need to engage them in certain manner. If they are not engaged, people will not interact.
Yeah.
So well, this led us to, well, let's say, create an ecosystem, right? Where we engage with our local community, right? Find out what solutions they are looking into or what challenges they want to address. Then we engage them accordingly. At the same time, this acts as a catalyst for us to make contacts, make network for us, and then get into consulting on their daily activities now, right? Because all what are companies? Companies are people at the end of the day, right? And everyone wants to everybody wants to be part of a community. So this is how we are engaging them. And now policies are coming into place. If we talk about policies, you have this EPR policy for e-waste and plastic waste coming into action. So even MSMEs need to interact. So our corporate focus or corporate consultancy is something that we are trying to improve corporate procedures and their like supply chain, but also that's like a money making arm for us, right? Like how we drive our income, let's say. And secondly, we realize that 3 years down the line, this consulting of ESG and all this will advance or propel into or evolve into something else. So hence that's why we are focusing on our R&D division as well, so that we are ready for 3 years down the line when this change will happen. We have our predictions of what changes will come in, but obviously we depends on the market as well, and hence community acceptance of those will then obviously lead to holistic development and acceptance by all. So hence we focus on 3 pillars.
Thank you. So, as a professional, like specializing in life cycle assessments, like what advice would you give to businesses looking to reduce their environmental footprint and improve resource efficiency?
Sure. So first advice is obviously to look into your energy consumption and heat consumption, right? These are scope 2 emissions. Obviously, if I define in terms of technicality, there are scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 and scope 2 are your direct emissions that happen at your factory level, let's say, right? And scope 2 is mostly focused on energy. So you have your electricity, heat, and steam. While in other manufacturing and other raw material acquisition and all those come in scope 1. Scope 3 emissions are your supply chain emissions that include your logistics, include your waste disposal mechanisms, everything, and supplier emissions as well. So when we first go, we first ask what's your electricity bill, what kind of electric grid have you adopted, and it's an easy entry point for industries as well, because now integrating so at their site is not resource intensive anymore, right? It's very easy and it's cheap at this point. So industries are open to that. So first advice we give them is to look into your energy consumption and also look into your lighting patterns, right? What we have seen is that even today in industries, local industries in MP or even in Pan India, they still have those old halogen lamps for working in the night or even lighting some areas. That itself has a high carbon footprint if we look at it, as compared to if you shift to LEDs, right? LEDs also has a significant carbon footprint, but it's significantly lower than halogens. So yeah, and people don't realize this. They're like, why should we invest money? This is not our focus, but it will help you quite, in the long run, it will be much more helpful for you, and it will LEDs consume less electricity compared to halogens. So that's energy saving and resource efficiency at the same point. Second thing we ask them to look into is obviously their energy optimization. So what we have found now, specifically in now, right now, I'm speaking about MSMEs, and this is in my personal experience that I've worked with, is that a lot of these industries don't have enough data, right, about their operations. So data collection is a very big gap right now in the market. So we help them. We try to do certain capacity building exercise with their operators and even with their managers. We create templates for them. We tell them like this is how you need to record data. Once we get that data, then we can pinpoint okay where you can optimize your energy flow or your resource flow, right? And at the same time, what we are observing is that some industries who are ethically responsible are doing wastewater treatment and water reuse and recycling. But not across major industries. Not many industries are doing that. So again, we tell them to look into these kind of efforts, because water itself is a scarce resource, and if you can treat it and recycle and reuse it, it will save your like water acquisition cost as well over time. So your energy, water, these two main specific aspects are taken care of first. Then you can look into your raw materials, you can look into your supply chain more diligently and work on those. So that's how we start. And we also tell them to look into certain alternative materials after they've looked into energy and water, right? Because see, right now our supply chains works like you get this raw material, you make some product out of it, what's left you dispose it or you throw it away. You don't follow it where it goes, you don't see if it can be recycled, you don't see if it can be reused. I mean, certain industries do that, right? If I'm talking about certain food manufacturing or those industries, they create different kind of granules, let's say, and what is waste they then refine it and feed it to animals as well, so that then they are at least trying to do some good out of it, right? But in other industries, what we face is that people don't pay much attention to these things. So what we say is look into alternative materials which can face, what do you call it, which can give you the same output as your raw material, but it can save you resources and money in acquisition, and you can recycle it, you can dispose it, or you can sell it off as a byproduct to some other industries. The concept of circular economy comes in later on.
Okay, so looking ahead, like what emerging trends in sustainability are you most optimistic about, and like how is Nurturing Gaia positioning itself to lead in these areas?
Okay. Okay. I've spoken so much. Give me a second. Let me. Okay. So the current emerging trend that we are most excited about is the concept of eco design. Right. I mean, I'll take this in two different directions. So first is eco design, because in eco design what happens is you look into resource efficiency from the planning phase only, right? So you have different concepts that come into play here, right, when you're designing a product. Any manufacturing industry or any product you see in the market right now, people do this thing called QFD, which is quality function deployment, right, which is basically your quality check, let's say, as per the customer demands and what is the output of your product, right? So in eco design, what they do is they first look at existing products in the same field, or let's say if you're a company, you have a product, let's say as a coffee machine or something, or a coffee maker. They'll first disassemble the current machine, right? They'll see what excessive parts are there which do not need to be, or which function is just to support, or which can be eliminated, let's say. Or if they can implement certain design change that can lead to elimination of spare parts or something, right? Or even casings and all. Now, post that, then we look into different materials. Now, as I mentioned, plastic is becoming a big a talking point. And if we need to transition from that, you need to look into alternatives to plastics, which can be bamboo, which can be glass, which can be bioplastics. Bioplastics is an emerging material which will do big, as we hope. But after you've done this, you look into QFDE, which is quality functional deployment for the environment. So you have, till now we were looking just at the customer's point of view and the company's point of view. Now you have a third point of view, which is the environment. And then you design accordingly, then you do a material analysis, and that's when you create a new product, which we term it as resource efficient product design. In short, people call it eco design. There are certain really good materials that are coming into the market in this field. For everyday items, bamboo is becoming quite a big hit. Well, because bamboo again is a major carbon sink, while it's lasts long. It's your replacement of disposable items and other utensils at the get-go. And since we spoke about construction industry, right now there are startups who are working on converting your agricultural waste into bricks, or your plastic waste into bricks.
Wow.
So all these fall under eco design concepts. So these are quite good in concepts, and our R&D unit is focusing on alternative materials at this moment. So that's why we are positioning us in that position now, so that when 2 to 3 years down the line it's become mainstream, we can be able to help people when they come in, right? Second thing that we are excited about is something called ESG enhancement at factory level. So now what we have, again, this is my personal belief with experience in working in ESG, is that right now ESG reporting is quite superficial. Companies report like, oh, okay, overview numbers, they report it out, they get an ESG score. But even for MNCs, like, if you're operating in 4 or 5 different locations, culture at every location is different, society is different, right? So you cannot have the same laws applicable. You can have the same laws, but their effectivity might differ from location to location, or regulations, right? So what we are trying to right now try at Nurturing Gaia is that we go factory to factory. We work with the employees there. When we are doing their capacity building, we are actually learning and grasping how they operate as well, and then look how we can enhance it at factory level, right? So once you do ESG enhancement at factory level, eventually your ESG enhancement at organizational level will improve, and your ESG score will improve.
Okay, so amazing insights. So coming to this is an interesting topic on the climate anxiety. So I just want to know, like, climate anxiety is becoming a shared concern across generations, like, especially among the youth who feel the weight of uncertain future. Like, as someone deeply involved in sustainability and climate action, like, how do you address like this anxiety personally, and like what advice would you give to the young people like in India to turn their worries into meaningful action?
Sure. Great question. I mean, even if I'm being completely honest, even I do sometimes face this climate anxiety regularly. So, I mean, I'm gonna get a bit dark before I come to the positive side of this, right? So let's look at our current trend, right? I mean, till last year we were talking about 1.5 degrees Celsius, right? And people were very optimistic that we'll be able to achieve. We are taking steps. We are implementing ESG. Everything will come good, right? Over time. And this 1.5 degrees became mainstream, what, 2, 3 years ago, maybe, right? Or if you wanna take it a big back, let's say 4, 5 years, right? Uh, yeah, 2019, the IPCC report came which highlighted 1.5 degrees, and that scientists like we will be reaching our tipping point soon, right? Fast forward to 2024, COP29. Uh, how we speak has changed. From 1.5, now we have shifted to 2.6 and 2.7 degrees, right? So if in 5 years, from 1.5, we have seen a 1.2 degree increase. I'm still trying to see how we can come on the positive side, because this raises concerns, right? At 4 degrees, all ice caps would have melted. Some regions would be flooded completely. Some regions would be in drought. Some would be facing forest fires. Some would be facing cyclones. And the thing is that specifically in India, we don't just have like water and all. We have Himalayas, and Himalayas are classified as the fourth permafrost for this earth, right? So their glaciers will start to melt. So water from three sides, a glacier melting from top. How are we gonna cope, right? It's a quite a big concern at this moment. But there are solutions that exist, right? And a friend of mine highlighted this to me is that when I was facing anxiety relating to climate change and all these, even when I was pursuing, and this peaked when I was doing my master's, because you get a good look at a lot of figures, a lot of insights you get. What struck me was that she specifically said that right now you're feeling anxious is because you've given up, right? There are a lot of things happening, maybe you're not aware, and that is very true. A lot of measures are being taken, and a lot of people are doing good work. So there's this documentary called 2040, right? I think it's a must watch for students right now who are specifically, let's say, facing this issue of climate anxiety. What it does is that it creates a pathway of achieving climate neutrality by 2040 based on the technologies that we already have, and how we can scale them how we can scale them for eventually making every like earth climate neutral, let's say. So we already have the concepts of decentralized electricity, but we don't adopt it. So you can have small households or even slums, you can put solar panels, government can put it, they generate electricity, and then they can buy electricity from them directly, right? So what it does is that it uplifts poor people in the society, but it also gives an alternative means of generating energy to the government, right? So small things. There are other biodiversity conservation techniques happening. And then there's this, when I spoke about sustainable urban planning, people are in the West are now creating things like, okay, you're creating a road which goes through a, let's say, a wildlife sanctuary, but they're doing it in such a manner because, well, you need access. We understand that, and we're not going to go through that. But then they're creating solutions which do not disturb the ecology at all, right? At the same time, ecosystem restoration efforts are being promoted worldwide now, right? Even though this carbon markets right now are under a lot of scrutiny because of, let's say, certain scams that happened, but at least some good is happening out of there, right? And we actually are currently working with two clients who work in ecosystem restorations, one in water and one in forestry. So like I said, there's a lot of good measures happening. So search for them. And the thing is that until and unless you give a positive spin to this climate action, you won't feel motivated to actually work. Because if I scare you, right, like, okay, if you don't do this, this will happen. Okay, maybe you'll act out of fear for a certain moments, let's say, right? Maybe 2 3 weeks you'll work. After that, you'll give up, like, yeah, okay, this is gonna happen, I'll live it. But if I tell you, uh, whoa, if we do this, this is something new that we'll be able to explore, or your kids will be able to see tigers in real life, then you'll be motivated to work and you'll get out of bed every day and you'll work on this, right? So that's one aspect, is to look at it positively. Second is spend more time in nature. Uh, right now, what I feel generally as well, right now, I've been back in India for 3 years now. So being back, what I've seen is that our kids, or let's say our younger generation, the connection with nature is broken at this moment. I mean, I would like to hear from your side as well, like what you've seen in your city. Do you see children hanging out much in natural spaces or not? Do you see that happening?
Yeah, it is like natural spaces has been reducing because of lot of like the way that the overall the system has been there, like within the education system, or like you would say or the structures that are built up like in nowadays. So like in that case, like the younger generations are going more towards like the screen and all that stuff, like so like the nature based things, like it's getting like reduced, but then like we need to educate them like on that work, like where we need to tell them, motivate them in a way that solve their purpose, or like they get to know that this is what we want to pursue in our life. So that's how it should be evolved. Like so, but we need to keep evolving and educating them. So that's what
True.
I
So,
feel. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you mentioned 2 3 things. One is obviously education system. One is our development, which is happening at scale, that we are losing so many green and natural spaces, right?
Yeah.
So nature has a very big role to play. Uh, our soil, water, these two are the major carbon sinks in the world as well, right? But when you walk barefoot on the grass or on soil, right? So our soil is basically, if I'm talking in capacitive terms, it is full of electrons, right?
Yeah.
So basically, there's an energy exchange that happens between our body and the soil when we walk, right? It releases like our stress level. Now, these are scientific studies that I'm quoting, and not just my spiritual experiences. It's a mix of both, let's say. Uh, but then you have like scientific studies that dictate that 5 minutes spent in nature can reduce your stress level or your anxiety by 30 to 40%. 5 minutes, that's it, right? But again, our development is happening at such a rapid pace, and also that we are losing our green spaces, that it is counterproductive to our children or the generation that's about to come next. So my suggestion to young kids now is, like, even if you're in school or in your college, get your authorities to engage into some natural activities, right? That will help. Uh, and then also engage with like-minded people. So a combination of all three: your awareness about things happening, your connection with nature, and your connection with your peers. All these three things are crucial to overcome climate anxiety in a time like this and in coming future.
So, yeah, thanks a lot for having this amazing conversation, and so like we got to learn, and my audience would love to have this like session like in a very different and new perspective we open up, and there's like their thoughts. So let's keep having this kind of conversation in future, so that new things come up and we get to know more about the technology or any specific the outcomes that we are getting from the environment. So that's how we want to have this keep evolving ourselves. Okay, so what I will do is so after this session, we will be editing this whole video, and once we have the edited version, I will share you the whole video, and then we will update on the website as well as the YouTube channel.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just one question. So once you, I mean, two questions first of all. I'll wrap this one up and then I'll ask the one that's been lingering on my mind since long. First question is, okay, so once you've uploaded this on your website and your YouTube, can we also post it on our website? And well, we'll have to create our own YouTube channel for posting it on our YouTube, but can we use it for promotion of ourselves as well?
Yeah, you can do that absolutely. So you can work on that, because we have it's very, as I said, it's circular. So we want to do that way only. So being working on the circular economy, so we want to share as many as people as possible, so that people get to know more about things which they might not know, or don't have that kind of knowledge about certain aspects with respect to the environment. So that's absolutely fine with us, and you can go ahead with that.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So, and this whole Planecious leader session, we developed in a way where we want to touch base each and every aspects of the environment, the sustainable development goals. So that's the main the purpose and the mission we have. We want to expand this community and get more conversation on sustainable development goals and other challenges, present challenges that we are having. So that's the purpose.
Sounds good, man. Sounds really good. I mean, we are planning to launch our podcast, but well, we've been planning for 1 year now. It hasn't materialized because so many things to do, and compliance takes a lot of our time. But yeah, we'll see. But I was just gonna say, if you're looking to connect with people who are working in this field, we can help you in that as well if you wanna, reach certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we want more and more people, because we need the diversity, so whatever within the sustainable development goals, we are yet to get more topics, and we want to explore untouched matters that is not yet discussed, or which is very people are not able to find that, or they don't know what they don't know. So that's what we want to cover up. So yeah, absolutely. So you can just share us the contacts, we can reach out to them, and we will just say what we are doing and why we are doing.
Sure, sounds good. I mean, at least one person's contact I'll share who I know would be interested in speaking as well. Okay, sounds good. So what's the what's your vision with Planecious leaders, if I can ask?
The vision is, as of now, I want to have 500 interviews by 2030, and so I want to cover each and every sustainable development goals, and I want to make people more aware about these particular sustainability and the challenges, and so that's what my mission is. So want to educate people, like, so that's the reason like we started this sustainable Planecious leadership. And like we are into this designing and like so designing the communication strategies like within the organization, the external strategies. So with respect to the sustainable development goals, and so we define their like mission, vision, and like whatever their material is, like we like make sure that we, if there is any marketing or like promotional work they are doing, so we come into picture, like where we suggest them like what kind of marketing material to be used, and like so that like we can reduce the carbon emissions. So like whether to go for the printing or not, like so if they want the printing, then like the ink usage and all that things, like so we take care each and every like promotional material, marketing things. So we suggest that accordingly. So
Interesting. Nice.
yeah,
Let's see how we can collaborate, man. We can maybe do some things together. And you're based out of?
we are based in Ahmedabad, and mostly my clients are from USA, UK. So like we are serving like strategy wise, like we are giving the like consulting, and as well as for the like promotional goods, or giving their like even their product, like if they want to change their packaging, or like how to reduce the like carbon impact, like the packaging material. So that also like we are like, providing. So,
Okay. Sure, sounds good. So, maybe we can help each other out. Maybe you can, if they have the requirements for, let's say, eco labeling or life cycle assessment or
yeah,
anything, you can connect them with us. And then we actually, right now, we are operating in India specifically. So, we are connected to a lot of startups in this climate tech space. So maybe we can share our contacts and then see how we can proceed. And
right.
once you were talking about community engagement, maybe we can also plan to do an community engagement event in Ahmedabad with you leading the whole thing, and then we can have like a, let's say, a panel discussion with people there as well, interested in these topics. So we can work together on that as well if that is sounds interesting, man.
Yeah, yeah, we can like definitely we can do that. We are ready to like do as much as we can. Like because as I said, like I want to educate and make aware about particular things.
Okay.
And that's the reason like we got the Covidis like, medal, like from the Sustainable Routing Agency. So
Okay.
bronze, we earned the bronze medal last year in November month. So we want to, now we are pursuing for the gold, the silver and the gold. So a lot of work needs to be done. Right?
I mean, I haven't heard of this award. Can you share me the link? Because I don't interact.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't look into sustainability awards and all. I mean, I used to when I
So I'm okay with that. And this, okay. So you were asking about this.
sustainability
It's not
award.
an award. Like it's a rating. So rating agency, like EcoVadis. It's a EcoVadis rating agency based in France. So
So,
they evaluated us like based on their parameters. Like they asked certain questions, and like we gave the all the references, and the documents they asked for. Like so, so based on that, they evaluated and they gave us the bronze medal. Like
interesting. Nice. I mean, I know EcoVadis because, well, a lot of our clients, we have to get their ESG reporting done in the EcoVadis format and upload it on their portals. But
yeah,
I was not aware of this aspect of EcoVadis. Nice.
right, right. That's
Okay,
so,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay, so let's connect after
uh,
this talk and then see how we
yeah.
can proceed together, man.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Right. Okay. Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you for joining us today, and like I hope my audience will love to this conversation.
Perfect. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank
yeah,
you so much
thank
for
you.
having
Thanks a
me.
lot. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice day. Bye.